You walk into the room after weeks of silence. They greet you with a light, casual smile, as if the last painful conversation never happened. If you've been here, this video is for you. Most explanations about narcissistic dynamics focus on dramatic confrontations or obvious manipulation. But when everything is calm, almost too calm, you're left more confused, not less. By the end of this video, you'll have a name for what happened, and you'll recognize the difference between ordinary silence and the nothing happened act. You start to wonder, did anyone else experience this? The sudden switch as if nothing before mattered? Has something like this happened to you? Drop it below. You're not the only one. This pattern has a name, the nothing happened act. It follows a precise, internal logic, one that repeats across relationships. Clinically, this is recognized as a denial or minimization tactic in narcissistic or emotionally abusive dynamics. A network analysis of narcissistic personality disorder found that the need for admiration and avoidance of accountability are central features. Most online content labels this as hoovering or gaslighting, but misses the psychological erasure at its core. What's critical? This isn't just silence. It's a calculated denial of your experience, designed to see if you'll question your own reality. This is not about forgetting. It's about forcing you to act as if nothing happened, disconnecting you from your own emotions. Victims of covert abuse often find it hardest to explain what's missing, because the pattern is defined by what isn't there. Inside the other person, this pattern is driven by the need to avoid vulnerability. Admitting to past harm would disrupt their sense of control. A scoping review of covert abuse describes how denial and minimization are used to sidestep responsibility, erasing mutual reality. The nothing happened act is a test. Will you act as though nothing was ever wrong? Your response reveals whether your boundaries still hold. Attachment theory shows that chronic denial by close others corrodes your sense of shared reality and weakens your relational bonds. Remember I said you'd have a name for this? This is not just avoidance, it's a form of psychological erasure. When you feel destabilized or question your memory after this kind of interaction, you're feeling the intended effect. A peer-reviewed study found that gaslighting often leads to loss of agency and emotional instability for the recipient. This pattern isn't accidental, it's a precise way to reset the relationship dynamic without apology or repair. Your confusion, the sense that you're overreacting, those are predictable outcomes. They are the mechanism, not the side effect. Clinical reviews confirm, even when nothing is said, the silent denial of the past is a form of psychological manipulation. Sign 1. After a major rupture, your next conversation is entirely surface level, no mention of what happened. It feels like the air is thick with things unsaid. Sign 2. You're left to wonder if you imagined the conflict, because they offer no cues that anything has changed. If this just gave you a name for something you've been feeling, like the video. That's how the algorithm keeps making these. Sign 3. When you tentatively bring up the past, you're met with a blank stare or a casual, "What do you mean?" Sign 4. The conversation pivots to small talk or logistics, as if you're acquaintances rather than people with shared history. Sign 5. You receive a text or call out of the blue, with no acknowledgement of the rupture. Only practical questions, nothing personal. Sign 6. When you ask for clarity, you're told, "Can we just move on?" The request itself is framed as unnecessary or dramatic. You realize, over time, that the refusal to address the past becomes its own kind of message, one that leaves you doubting your own memory. You notice yourself replaying old conversations, searching for proof that it really happened the way you remember. You find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, just to restore a sense of normalcy. Everyday rituals, making coffee, washing dishes, become spaces where you process feelings you can't talk about. You start to fill silences with movement, as if constant activity might keep you from unraveling. You become hyper-aware of small changes in tone or facial expressions, scanning for signs that the truth might finally be acknowledged. Eventually, you notice the difference between peaceful solitude and the emptiness that comes from being erased. You realize that sometimes the quiet is not a choice, but a strategy to avoid uncomfortable truths. You find yourself longing not for conflict, but for acknowledgement, a simple sign that your feelings mattered. Most videos treat narcissistic abuse as loud and obvious. This angle names the silent, routine ways reality gets rewritten. The real difference. This isn't about dramatic events, but about the slow erasure that happens in the ordinary. Negative space, an unanswered message, an untouched mug, shows what's missing, more than words ever could. This approach makes the invisible visible. It's not absence, it's the intentional refusal to connect. The key insight: noticing the difference between someone who is quiet and someone who is erasing what you both lived through. Today, try this. Write down one thing you remember clearly about the rupture. Keep it for yourself, as evidence that your perception is real. Reclaim your sense of reality by anchoring in your own memory, not in the silence imposed on you. Small acts of self-validation, naming what happened, even privately, are a way to protect your agency. Notice the moment your body relaxes when you trust your own experience, however quietly. Someone shared that after every normal conversation, they still replayed what was missing. That's the nothing happened act in real time. Stay with us. The next video goes deeper into how memory and reality get rewritten in subtle ways. What was the moment you first noticed this pattern? Your story matters here.